Yeah, I've had patterns fighting me left and right for the past 2 weeks. Although I will say I have not gone out and spent any money on new yarn. I've been trying to work with old yarn, but it has just not been happening. So I kicked off June with this big plan that I was only going to use yarn in my stash to make my projects this month. And while I have been doing that, I've really only had one successful project this month, and that was Crackers here, my can koozie. And if you're interested in him, let me know. I do have a tutorial on it. It's not the greatest. It was my first tutorial, but I will post it if there's enough clamor for Crackers. So this was part of Battle of the Stitches. I think I did really okay with this. I'm happy with how Crackers turned out, but he is my only success, and we are at June 22nd, and I have only had him as my success. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit. So I started June. I was only going to use stash yarn, nothing buying no new yarn for an entire month. So I was like, this is super easy. I will only make projects that are in things that I can make with my stash. That has not been the problem. The problem has been the operator error, pattern error maybe, but for the most part, I was going to do a granny square a day out of this pamphlet. I was going to do this afghan here called Coat of Many Colors. And I started on June 1st. Super, super excited about it. This is all I've gotten done. And I was so excited to do this pattern. And then I got into working the pattern and I couldn't figure it out. I did it a couple of ways. I even took a photo of this thing, put it into Chat GPT, and it still would not, I could not figure this out. The problem happened on, this is row, see, the first row is the color, then you change to this color. But the way these were coming out did not look like how these granny squares looked on the, see, I don't know if the next round is going to create this, like these little, whatever you'd call those things. But yeah, it, to me, it didn't look anything like it. And I'm also having heat problems. I only have window units in my house. So yeah, this turned into a disaster, and I got so frustrated with it that I was like, screw it. I will look at this some other time when I feel like doing that. So the next problem came from another pattern I was working on. I was super, super stoked to do a tester pattern from Annie at Hooks and Healers in her Patreon. She had this adorable little mini horse and a mini cow. And I thought the little horses looked just like My Little Pony. And as a child of the 80s, I love me some My Little Pony, and I had envisioned of making me a herd of these little miniature horses and maybe making some unicorns and making a Pegasus, because Pegasus was my favorite. And I got started on the pattern, and the first one, when I went to do it, I thought, heck, I'm doing this right. It's looking right. It's looking good. And I had the body, I had the horse, I had the tail, had everything, and I got to the head, and it was, it was looking like a horse head, it looks like a horse head, right? Actually, it looks like donkey. But then I got to the part where you were supposed to add the muzzle, and I was like, well, then this isn't a long horse face. Why the long face? So I screwed something up. So I took everything out. Since this is Dollar Tree chenille and it's very hard to frog, so I was like, I'll make it the way it's supposed to be. I'll put the eyes in, and I'll close up the mane. I might put some white right here, fix it up. It'll be cute. So then I was like, it'll be cute. I'll get it done, and then I'll start and make another one for the pattern testing review. So I started, it was doing pretty good. I had the body, had the nice little spirally tail, and then this happened. it became more of a giraffe than an elephant. It became more of a giraffe than a horse. So it has this really long neck, and the head, I don't, and I don't know what I did. I followed the directions to the T, and this is what happened. On the other one, I know what I did. I elongated the bottom, um, because I was following the directions, but where she had like increases, and I just increased only on the bottom, I think, like I did with the Snoopy snout on that, the Snoopy that I made recently. You elongated the snout as part of it, so it was like a no sew, and I just assumed that's what she was doing, and then when I got to the snout part, that's when I realized I'd done something wrong. This one, I have no idea what I did, because I increased like you were supposed to, but the neck was so long, I don't know what happened. At least this one I can call a Bob Ross moment. It's a happy little accident. And I think if I changed a white right here and make him like a blaze, it'll be fine. So needless to say, I did not finish the testing on time because I utterly screwed up. And by that point, I was so frustrated with what was going on. I was just like, no, I can't do this. So I gave myself 3 or 4 days. I had missed the deadline, but then I decided I got to go back. I can't let this pattern beat me. It did not beat me. Here is my little pony, my little purple pony. Although, like I said, I've got this one finished to upload, but I was not in the mood to make any more of these. It wasn't the pattern. I will tell you, the pattern is fine. It was operator error. It was something I was doing, and I have no idea what that was, because, like I said, I did this one again, and it worked out fine. But see, was what I'm talking about. The snout was, you sewed it on, and somehow on that one I made the snout elongated, and I don't know how I did it. So I can't go back and fix it. But I did have vision of making several of these, and I think once I'm out of my no yarn embargo, I will probably make, at least try to make a Pegasus, because I don't know if I've got enough yarn. This was Dollar Tree chenille, and this was left over. This was the velvet yarn left over from Craig here. So that's the same yarn that I used there. And I don't have much of this left anymore. So yeah, this one I figured out. The Afghan, so in the past 2 weeks, I have learned that not every pattern that you work on, no matter how excited you are, will work out for you. You have to restart. Frogging is a part of crochet life and knitting life in general. But this week I just had more frogs. I had to have more frogs than I cared to mention. And with crackers, I had a lot of problems because I was working with this specific stitch that I had to use for the challenge. And that in itself became a challenge because I was trying to make something not knowing how to use this stitch really well, like especially in the round, and it was quite the challenge. So this week, the past 2.5 weeks have been kind of a learning experience, both in how to make patterns, what happens when you really utterly screw up, and then the Afghan. I think I'm going to revisit the Afghan. I've only so it's June 22nd. I only have about a week and a week and a day. Actually, when this comes out, I'll have a week left in the month. So I don't know. I've got things planned for the rest of the month, and I do have a couple things I need to buy that I'm desperately waiting for July 1 to start, so I can buy a couple of things that I need to do for a couple projects. So as for the Afghan, I think I'm going to give it a rest, especially with the hot weather coming upon us this week. For the last week of June, I'm not going to be able to meet the goal probably of getting 30 of those things done. I think it's one of those I'm going to have to give some time where I can just set and review the pattern itself. Like I said, I ran it through ChatGPT and it still really didn't make sense to me. So I'm going to have to like really sit down and take a good look at this pattern. So for the last week of the month, I have one more pattern I'm going to work on. It's a test pattern that from Crochet by Jenna. It's a unicorn, so I'm going right back into that horse mode and see if I can get anything done. I'm going to use Dollar Tree chenille for that as well, and perhaps this Feels Like Bliss yarn on that. I also have some pipsqueak that I might use. I don't know, but I will have another video on the yarn selection for this pattern, and hopefully this will be a pattern that works out for me this on the first try. I'm also working on a very special project that I hope to have out in July. I don't know if I'll get it done by July, but I am working on it currently, and it's when I was frustrated with the horse and the afghan, I decided to start working on that one, and it helped me get back into my crojo. All right, have you ever had a week or two of disastrous crochet? I really hope I'm over the hurdle. I know the heat's coming, so I'm going to be probably shifting gears a little bit this coming week and maybe for the rest of the summer if the weather does not cooperate. So I hope that you are still not buying yarn in June. But if you're like me, you can't wait until the calendar flips over to July 1st and you get to buy some yarn, because I've got a couple projects that I have just been chomping at the bit. Is it champing at the bit or chomping at the bit? Whatever it is, I have been doing it, waiting for the calendar to switch over because I have to get some yarn for these projects. But otherwise, I am doing really well. I've been to Hobby Lobby like 3 times this month for work-related things that I needed to buy, and I have not purchased any yarn.